hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. It is an honor to be able to host another show today. Hey, look at that. It's Wacky Wednesday. So let's be a little bit wacky today. Today we actually do not have Jason Q because Jason Q is still on tour for the Truth Tour #2, and it is going amazing. So thank you, everybody that has donated and that has supported this Truth Tour through everything that they have been doing, not only for us, but for all of humanity. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart that you guys are standing up and doing what you're doing to do your part for all of humanity as well. And we want to welcome Dylan Monroe, which is the map maker, you know, the guy that just makes those amazing maps of the deep state and everything that's been going on. It's an honor to have you on with us. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's great to be here. And, props to the Truth Tour for making the effort to go all over the country. I actually saw you guys at the last stop on the Truth Tour on Facebook, of course, in a picture with 107 and my Q map in the background, and I was just like, wow, like it's all coming together.
Right.
And that appearance from Juan at that tour was what made me want to go to the Reckoning Fest. And then met so many different people there, and it's great to see these different audiences merging, and the truth movement really uniting like this.
It's amazing what this whole awakening, the way that it's happening. It's just awesome.
We're making history.
We are.
We are in the process of making history, and when it's all said and done, we're going to look back and just marvel at everything that we saw and didn't see, and how we all played a part in it.
Yeah, it has been a journey, and I never thought I would be making videos. Like in 2019, I went to this small little event in Phoenix and met Jordan Sather, Edge of Wonder, and a couple other people, and they were like, oh, like you got to do videos, you got to explain your maps. And I was like, no, I don't like getting on camera and doing this, but hey, then it just kind of came together and it happened, both to report, the current events, what's going on, and to explain my own maps, which I actually have 2 different Rumble channels now. New Templars, which is more for the current events and roundtable discussions as well as interviews, and then DSMP on Rumble, which is more about my expo presentations and explaining my maps. So I got a lot going on, and I know you guys have my Linktree link, which from that Linktree you'll find all my different links to my main website where you can get free downloads of these maps, and my Telegram, which is my main place where I post news and articles nowadays. We've kind of been herded into Telegram, us in the Truther movement. High vibes up. I'm all about the high vibe.
Actually, I was pointing up there for your website that you can't see unless you're on like YouTube.
Oh, okay, got it.
I'm trying to tickle it.
Well, speaking of high vibes and events, I actually am doing an outdoor festival this weekend, local here. I'm in Cincinnati. It's going to be my second time vending outdoors, but it's basically a high vibe, high spirituality event put on by a friend of mine. And so I'm really looking forward to that. It's called Rebirth Festival, and I just did a newsletter about it today.
Oh, that's awesome. And where is this happening at?
Cincinnati.
Yeah, well, I'm in Cincinnati, but it's in New Richmond, which is nearby. It's kind of like this kind of more scenic, like rural. It's a park by the river. It's going to be a lot of fun. She did one in the spring, and it's like good DJs, high vibe people, a lot of like spirituality booths, meditations, crystals, seminars on different types of spiritual topics. And I'm not giving a seminar, which makes it a little more relaxing for me. I'm just going to be running my booth, explaining the maps to people directly from the booth. And it should be chill. It should be good. So anyone that's either in, Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, like come on out. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it does.
I've been hearing about those type of events, and I've always wanted to go to one, but I've never had, you could say, the guts to actually just fly out to one and just enjoy myself.
That's coming, though, isn't it?
It is coming, though.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to come out of your shell. And I hadn't been to hardly any expos myself, even having lived in New York for 11 years. I never went to the Javits Center once. But then once I moved back here to Cincinnati in 2014, I started going to the psychic expos here, which we actually have a really big one called Victory of Light that I'm going to be at in November. And, from there, when I started this business, DSMP, as we call it, I started looking into like what other expos are relevant. I've been to several alien theme expos, like the Alien Cons put on by Ancient Aliens and the History Channel. And then, when these events such as Reckoning Fest or the Truth Tour or the Reawakening America Tour are going on, those are obviously very relevant too. And I think that crowd, the crowd that's into the 17th letter of the alphabet, definitely understands my work more than anyone else. A lot of these other expos people are like, explain this. And I'm like, well, there's a lot to explain here. But, this is the original 17 map or web, which I call it, that a lot in the 17 movement are familiar with, that I created early or late 2017, released New Year's Eve 2018. And that's the one that kind of started it all off, really put us on the map of the truth movement, and been mapping ever since.
So how did that start for you?
So my background was in fashion design and graphic design within fashion design, designing a lot of prints and embroideries for fashion, and was really, knew the Photoshop and Illustrator very well, and had been researching conspiracies myself really ever since 2005. That's when I kind of consider myself woke from the Matrix. I had always been really into aliens and sort of like esoteric topics my whole life and space. But in 2005 is when I really realized the conspiracy of 9/11, the conspiracy of all the different secret societies, the Illuminati, and just was digging into everything for like several years after that. But then, so I had left fashion, come back to Cincinnati, was working on my own kind of fine art stuff. And when Trump came into office, I kind of felt this divine calling that, I needed to sweep in and like assist him in some way. And also the Women's March that occurred the day after his inauguration, the Pussy March, as they called it, inspired me to create the first piece of Deep State Mapping Project, which was not the Q-Web that came out New Year's Eve 2018, but this one called the Grievance List, which I created literally the day of the Pussy March, because all these women were holding these signs saying, don't let him grab her by the you-know-what. And I made this to kind of give you a list of subjects that I felt like were worth protesting, worth having a grievance about, and basically like subjects that if you were to go to DC, what you would want to hold a sign and bring attention to, because these are basically transgressions of our own government apparatus and intelligence agencies, the three-letter ones that we'll try not to say on here. But so, as you can see, this is sort of like a simplified version of the one that ultimately became the 17 web or map. And so this one just kind of had the big words. It had this kind of like that guy from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I forget his name, but people always compare me to him when he's standing in front of the wall, like pointing at his crazy conspiracy diagram with all the lines and handwritten stuff. So this one had a little bit more of that crazy handwritten feeling to it. And then, throughout the course of 2017, I didn't really know where this project was going. I did a couple other pieces. I just thought this was like for my own entertainment. And then, once Mr. 17 came up on the chans, I really saw, I was inspired to make this idea a lot more complex, which is what became the one you see behind me and the one with the different colors like this, the 17 map. And then when I released it, people had already been prepped by 17 to receive it. And it just kind of put everything on one piece of paper for them and really congealed all these different ideas, names, dates, operations. That's the most important thing that the 17 map is about, is the different operations that have been declassified. And some people will say, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist. I only deal with the facts. Like, I don't say that because, conspiracies often end up being true. I don't usually invent theories myself, but, I'm not opposed to on occasion. But this map is really not about speculation so much. It's really about declassified history that has been swept under the rug, ignored, things that have come out through FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, and things that have come out through congressional hearings, such as the Church Committee, which just goes a lot about MK Ultra. And so, these things are undeniable history that just aren't recognized. aren't taught and aren't understood by the general population. And so that's what we're trying to do here, is raise the consciousness level, get the high vibes up, like your channel is called. And what we do after that will be up to the people, because we can't even make a decision if we're not educated on what the history is.
It's true. And you know what I realized? There's a lot of healers out there, but what people really do not understand is that people that do deep research like you and Jason Q and everybody else that does that type of research is also considered a healer. Think about it, because when you reveal that type of information, what does it do? It heals the inner soul, knowing that there is truth. And these maps are bringing a lot of healing and understanding and understanding to a lot of people, and we are very grateful for what you've done with this. So I want to thank you for that.
Well, yes, thank you. I mean, I'm very technical with the information and look into a lot of dark subjects, but I'm not considered a healer by profession, but I am quite spiritual. And I've also created what's called the Healing Web, which I can pop that one up too. Created that prior to the pandemic. So it was very much ready when it was needed, when, that whole scam came along. But I'm also really into other spiritual topics, such as psychic phenomenon, channeling, extraterrestrials, benevolent ones. And so, this investigation into the truth about our reality, there's no end to it. Even at my level, I'm still finding things that I'm like, need to read more about. I was just last night reading, I'm not sure if I can say the I word, the bloodlines of the I. I'll let you guys speculate on that, which is a book I've probably owned since 2007, but I just never got around to reading it. And I'm, reading specific chapters, like the one about the Merovingians and the one about the Kennedys. And it's not exactly uplifting information, because this was written in like the mid 90s, when there was really no light at the end of the tunnel. It was just like, these elite bloodlines controlling our world with somewhat no recourse. I mean, I read the introduction last night, and it's saying, this is not something that you can vote out. But what's happened, since then, 2017 really is a miracle or divine intervention, that, we actually do have a light at the end of the tunnel now. We see an operation that's ongoing and picking up speed and almost reaching its climax right now, which is so exciting. And even though we've been expecting this climax to happen for like 4 years now, but it really feels like this year might be it. And if it's not, we know that the white hats are working, that this is a long-term plan, and that so many signs that the dark side of this, the cabal, its foundation is just full of cracks and leaking. And it's really only a matter of time before the banking system implodes, these different governments implode, and we the people finally have our say. And especially with the Great Awakening, their main tool was keeping people in the dark, keeping people ignorant. And like it was saying in the introduction for Bloodlines, the book, it was saying, people, if you tell people this information, they will reject it. And there have been intellectuals trying to bring attention to the Dark Brotherhood, shall we say. For a good 200 years now. Even George Washington was sent this book, Proofs of a Conspiracy, back in the 1800s. And he was like, yeah, I know about it. Like, we got that under control or something. But, people just like to turn a blind eye to it. And what was really shown by the pandemic and the poison apple, which was rolled out subsequently in 2021, is that, if you're blind to this, there will be repercussions.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
It's true.
big time.
Well, just to go on a bit more, well, there's a little bit of a gap here. I want to tell you guys about my newest thing, which is this was the original, the 17 web. And through customer feedback at Dallas, they said, make it simplified and blow it up. And so that's what we've done with this new version. It's called the Jumbo 17 web. And so this is both a free download and a new laminate that we're offering on my website, my store, which is the most important points from the original one, boiled down to 8.5 by 8.5, which was actually our original flyer that we developed for a July 4th parade in 2018. But this was much smaller text.
Boy,
and so
that's tiny.
Yeah, we're just trying to find new ways to reach people with information that's accessible, that's not, flooding them, overwhelming. At the same time, developing stuff specifically for the most advanced crowd that's out there, which is something more like our Jasara map, which was released earlier this year. Jasara is for the true patriot soldiers in the movement, the ones who are ready to say goodbye to the old banking system and move on to something better. And then our other most recent one, Octagon group map, so controversial that I can't even print a poster of it because it has so many different brand logos on it. And I get into trouble with my distribution service if I'm have different brand logos on my stuff. So I'm looking into bringing everything in-house and doing my own distribution for that poster specifically, so that I don't have to worry about copyright infringement other than if UBS from Switzerland or Credit Suisse decides to sue me, which I think they have bigger problems on their hands.
Oh, yeah. I think they do, too.
Much bigger.
But family, as you guys can see, he is also looking for others that might actually be able to help him with this project. So if you guys know anybody, or if you can do anything, speak up, speak out, and we can,
Get you connected.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not connected to too many what you would consider insiders. Like most of my information comes from open source or publicly accessible places, books, other people who have done their own research. But occasionally I will get an email from someone that drops a little bit of insider intel. One that comes to mind was someone that gave me some information about their experience as a family within Freemasonry. And that's actually the video that I made based on that email that got me banned from YouTube. So not officially, but I felt like that was the video that was like the final straw, because they really don't like you talking about the stuff that is, supposed to be secret, like secret societies.
Mm-hmm.
It's very true.
Yeah.
BoobTube is cracking down even on the one word that starts with an E and ends with a shun that we know was stolen.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy. People trying to even talk about that, reading mainstream articles. They can't even read a mainstream article because it has that word in it.
Exactly.
And then they have to say the thing that happens in November. That it just got too complicated. So, I mean, props to you guys for remaining on that platform and, putting up with all the secret words and, other ways to trick the algorithms. I've just moved to Rumble, which I think is the direction everything's headed. But it's good to have, a few people still over there in mainstream YouTube land to catch up the stragglers.
Yeah. Well, that's why High Vibes Up is still up.
Amen.
Yeah.
And sending it a big Archangel Michael bubble of protection.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's amazing.
Do we have this streaming to our Rumble channel?
No, not yet. I haven't been able to test it out because I've only been better for one day. Give me a little bit of time to
Well,
be
I
able
just
to
couldn't remember if you
rejuvenate
had
from my
said-
sickness.
I just couldn't remember if you had said something about that happening.
I said I found a way to do it, but
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't tried it yet.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Yeah, Rumble streaming is very new. I tried that once, and it was like in the first month of the launch, and it wasn't working for me. But I think it works a lot better now. So good luck with that too.
Yeah, well, I tried it through the OBS itself, and it just would not connect. But now that we have Restream, Restream seems to connect very well with things, so it might be able to connect better with the Rumble. So I'm going to give that test out and see how it works. Yeah.
Good luck. Yeah. It's
Oh,
great.
well, thank
It's
you.
fun to do these interviews where I'm actually streaming back on Facebook sometimes. Where it's like I've been banned on every single platform, because of my work. Even ones that most people haven't been banned on, and even including Patreon, which I lost $1,500 a month that was coming in there,
wow.
and even like Linktree. But I'm back on Facebook. I'm back on Instagram, and I'm hoping there's not like this would be like the fourth or fifth wave of bannings. But I do like sharing on those platforms, and I miss the group atmosphere that was on Facebook in particular. So, but I'm trying to pick up on Truth Social as well. And the stuff that POTUS has been posting on Truth Social is just like confirming 17 to the maximum. Even just today, he posted another meme with "Nothing Can Stop What Is Coming," which he's done before. I mean, there was the famous violin with "Nothing Can Stop What Was Coming." I think that was early 2020. And so we're just getting more and more comms from him that I feel like it's only a matter of time before I know Juan O'Savin is going to many of his rallies, and I feel like there might be a big reveal in the future where Juan comes out on stage at one of these rallies, and that's like the ultimate connection between the two worlds of, mainstream MAGA versus 17 world MAGA. That's something I've kind of had a fantasy about of sort of a confirmation that might happen in the future. However, a lot of people are saying that it might be the arrest happening sooner than later. And Juan has even said, I think, that his next rally may be his last before the arrest. But, I don't like to give too much mental attention to the negative things like that. If it does happen, I think it is part of the plan. And I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to panic if the stock market crashes either, because I know all about that Jassara. But, I'm really analyzing what's been going on the past couple of months. I'm seeing a lot more white hat wins as opposed to deep state cabal wins. I'm seeing, very few deep state cabal wins other than, just funneling endless money to Ukraine, which really seems like all it is a money laundering operation to take taxpayer money and give it back to the cabal itself. But for major events, I'm seeing more strong white hat victories, and I'm hoping coming up into the midterms that we see more of those, and obviously wins for the Team MAGA in the midterms as well.
It's very true. Well, if you think about it, it's not about the battles that we have to focus upon, because the battles, we lose some, we win some. Oh, whoop-de-whoop, right? But we are actually winning the war. And that's what we need to focus upon, is that war that we are already basically won. We just have to wait for get the stragglers. But I do want to talk a little bit about what really got you started into making these maps, because I really want to know what inspired you to go deep into this type of research and make these maps for everyone.
Well, it really kind of began as actually an exercise for myself, almost like a personal, like as an artist, this is how I wanted to both express myself, to teach people what they should be paying attention to in order to protest effectively, protest, tyranny by the government. And for this one in particular, it was keeping these keywords and terms sorted for myself and to understand things for myself. And the way I did that was to, put things together in a very logical and, computerized way, like on Adobe Illustrator, which is what the program these are created on. And so I really combined my graphic design, pattern making skills with my interest in alternative history, or conspiracy, as some may call it. And that's how it came together. And, each one of these that I've made, from Jassara to the Healing Web to Cult of Baal has, and another one I haven't shown you guys yet here is Energy Map, which I did late 2020. They've all been kind of my own investigations into different topics. And for different ones, I've also been guided to different degrees through my spiritual guidance, and received more or less help telepathically, I believe, in the creation process. Some of them I actually had basically seen the whole thing before I began it, and received very heavy influence from what I felt was telepathic guidance. And others have been more of your standard research process and, digging online, digging in books, contacting different people who I really felt were experts. And so that's really how they came about. But it really does usually begin with something that I personally want to understand deeper. And I start mapping it out for my own, mental clarity and benefit. And then obviously once it's completed, I see the usefulness that it would have to other people. And it really brings me joy that other people find it useful as well. And they'll not only find it useful for themselves, but useful in awakening others. Like, that's really what some of these flyers are about. Like, I include the actual mini informational flyer with all my orders for the specific purpose of people being able to share that with someone else in their family that may, just be starting to question things. Because a lot of people have actually just woken up since Biden, since the pandemic, and since, November 2020, the E word we can't say. And so, if they start questioning, the mainstream media is telling me lies about a couple things, they're like, well, then, how does the world make sense after that? And the answer is, looking into all this and understanding the big picture, the 40,000-foot view. And so these are tools to help awaken others and help others that are awakened awaken even further others.
That is awesome. Absolutely awesome.
The more tools we have to help us understand what has happened and where we're going from here, the better it is. Because everyone has a different language. Just like there is five different, maybe even more, love languages. There's different languages of learning, different languages of studying and understanding things as well.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing with these maps is that they're really intended to be self-explanatory. People do love when I make a video explaining them, and I think that helps a lot. But the idea is that, you would find something like that. I mean, I do these as stickers too. So you can imagine, walking into a bathroom stall and seeing a sticker like of that level of complexity and just being like, you just kind of fall into it. You dive into it. And, you may understand some words and then you may need to look up a few others. But the idea is that they're self-explanatory. Of course, they do also come with a little bit of like literature on the back, giving you a basic premise. But
wow.
The idea is not that I should have to make a video explaining it, that should be enough to bring people at least up to a certain level of consciousness understanding just from the map alone. Are we on the truth tour here?
Yes, we are.
Oh, it's Jason.
Can't hear you guys. You guys are muted. Unmute. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. There we go.
Hey guys.
Hey.
We're at the Devil's. Yeah, Devil's
Oh,
Tree
they're
Stuff.
at Close Encounters.
Oh, that's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes. See? We're out here
Wow.
taking a little break. It's our day off. So we just wanted to shout out and say hey to everyone. It's High Vibes Up.
Oh.
So,
Oh.
oh,
Hi.
did y'all
Hello
see our
from the
flight show
Silicon Forest.
yesterday?
What was that?
Did you see the flight yesterday? Did you see our videos from yesterday?
Yes.
The jet fighters?
Yes, those were
Yeah, I did see that.
I
amazing.
did not see them.
You didn't? It's on Telegram.
Oh my,
She
it's
tortured me.
incredible, guys. So yesterday we were at Cheyenne, Wyoming, and Gina is texting with 107, and he told her he wanted to talk to her. Then he came back and said he was too busy, but to go outside in about an hour and take a look. And all of a sudden we hear jets flying over us, and they were below the ceiling, the limit that they're allowed to fly.
Wow.
And so only the commander-in-chief or someone at that level can give them the approval to do that over residential homes, they say. So we got our own little air show, and then there was a helicopter flying over very slowly. And as soon as we saw it, I'm like, Trump's in there. And a bunch of us got that energy around that. And then today, I think Derek told us, well, the best part of this was yesterday, Lewis was the one with Nicholas Finiaman and Derek. And Derek just happened to pull his phone out and was looking at the flights. And he's like, look, here comes a jet now. He says, and there'll be two more. And this was right before it all happened, like 45 minutes. So it was just very interesting. He pulled that out.
Awesome.
And then everything happened that happened. So, but today, Derek or someone said that Trump's plane was in the Wyoming area. So it sounds like it possibly was him. So I guess they gave us a big shout out for what we were doing and us being out there. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's
pretty freaking
awesome.
incredible. We were all in awe.
Right. By the way, Denise, we want to introduce you to Dylan Monroe, the map guy.
I have sent Dylan a message. Dylan, we're trying to get a hold of you to be at one of the stops or so if you'd like. So hit
Well,
me
I'm
up. I'll
actually
send you an-
considering, I'm doing a festival on Saturday, but I'm considering coming to Indiana on Sunday to your event in Indiana. So I might see you then, possibly. It's about
Well,
4
do it.
hours for
Bring your
me, which is
stuff. You can
a
set up a
little bit of
table
a
and sell.
stretch. But
Yeah, well, you can set up a table and sell if you like.
oh, well,
And
thank you for the
come
offer.
on
Yeah.
out. Yeah, yeah. So, and for everybody out there listening, we're getting ready to make some changes to our online streaming. We've been having some problems, so hopefully by the time we go live on Friday, we'll be able to let y'all know what's going on there. So,
Well, if you
Yes.
need any help with streaming anything, just let me know.
sure, that sounds good. We appreciate that.
No problem.
And Kid
Yeah.
and I are looking forward to
Wow.
flying out to New York to join the Truth Tour again.
Good, good. Yeah,
Oh,
awesome.
there's
awesome.
Gina.
Yep, there's Dina. And I was going to get Derek in the picture here for a minute. And Tom, come here a minute and say hello, please.
Hello.
This is High Vibes Up. They're live.
Hey.
Hey,
Hey
Tom.
Tom, how are you?
Hey. Good. We're here at the tower.
Hi.
Hey, Derek.
Hey.
How are you, Derek?
Beautiful. Derek Johnson here.
And we also have Dylan with us, you guys.
Dylan's with them tonight.
They want me to see if
So-
there's a-
Yeah, I just saw
Lewis
some
doesn't
numbers
have
at
much of a
Reckoning.
voice. Yeah, Dylan, you've got a Facebook message from me, so check it out, okay?
I will.
And bring your merchandise if
Thanks
you come
for
out.
the
and sell
invite.
it there. You're welcome. You're welcome. So Lewis is still not feeling the best and doesn't have much of a voice today, so he's not going to be joining us, but to wave if I get up here close to him. But I'm going to let y'all go back to your show. We just wanted to pop in and say hello from out here.
Well, it was a pleasure to have you with us, you guys. So thank you for popping on and sharing your energy and where you were at today. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, we're going to stay in the Deadwood area tonight, get up in the morning and watch the sunrise at Mount Rushmore, and then we'll start heading east and go to probably ride through the Badlands and then end up in St. Paul by tomorrow evening. So,
St. Paul.
yep. All right, guys,
Nice.
truthtour.net. If anybody wants tickets, lots of great people. Jean Ho, Mary Crowley, Melissa Red Pill, Baby Trump, you name it, Kid and Candy, Jason Q. All of us are out here doing this thing. So come on and join us. Get some tickets. Watch us online. All right, guys, we love you. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Godspeed to you.
Love you.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Well, that was
Wow.
a nice surprise.
Right?
Yeah, that's intense being on a, world or American tour like that.
You got
Jason
quite
pitched the idea to me to come on that tour beforehand, and I was like, oh, maybe, but I mean, I'm running Deep State or DSMP here, we'll call it, which is quite an operation, and I actually have to be here every week to ship orders. So if I'm gone for more than a week, I'd have to figure something out. But we're all doing our part where we are doing as best we can. I don't even know if like physically I could handle that many events in that time frame, but I really appreciate the invite, and I'm glad that there are multiple actually MAGA or 17 related events going throughout the country. The movement is really picking up.
It
Yeah, it
really
is.
is. And it's picking up in other countries as well. And they're starting to figure out how they could do their own type of truth tours and stuff like that. It's awesome. Awesome to see.
Yeah, there were several actually stops on the Truth Tour that I was like, oh, that'd be a cool stop to go to. And that you guys said you're going to the New York one because I'm, being someone who lived in New York 11 years myself, like New York is a place that I kind of love and hate at the same time. And there's actually a lot of, very awake people there. I shipped quite a few orders to New York, not as many as to California, but I was just, trying to imagine what that stop in Brooklyn is going to be like because, there's also a lot of people who would be like vehemently opposed to it, but I don't think they'll be showing up for the event. But it'd just be interesting to see like what kind of people did show up in New York because the people who have remained there throughout all of this, pandemic and whatnot, they're really anchoring a higher vibration in a very dark place and, doing some powerful work. It's not a place I would want to be at this time, especially with the flagship of the British Navy, their Air Force or the aircraft carrier parked next to the Statue of Liberty this week for an Atlantic military convention event supposedly going on there. But with everything going on in the world at this time, I believe that aircraft carrier might actually be there to protect the Bank of England's interest in Wall Street and maybe do some anti-aircraft or, maybe even anti-nuclear prevention.
Interesting. Well, we did hear that there, I believe even Juan talked about that there's going to be a scare, right? So, but that, not to let that run you in fear because everything's still okay. So
well, yeah, I mean, I would be in fear if I was in Washington, D.C. or New York. I mean, that's part of the reason I left New York, actually, after I experienced Hurricane Sandy and the blackout there in lower Manhattan. I realized, if this blackout was the whole Manhattan or, the whole city, God forbid, things would go downhill very rapidly. And so just, living in Manhattan felt a little bit like, being trapped on this island that could go into complete chaos if any part of civilization or, infrastructure were to fail. And so I'm definitely, not in fear of nuclear war, but I understand that there is actually a possibility of, DC or New York possibly experiencing something. I mean, I hope not, but that's two places I wouldn't want to be during this time in particular. And we're also fortunate in America that if something did happen there, the fallout would go eastward to the Atlantic and Europe. So.
Talking about weather a little bit, to go into weather, the hurricane that's happening in Florida is it's weird how it's coming around this way through the sea and then up. But then somebody took a picture of where the middle of that hurricane is, and that's where a detention center is. Right there, spit in the middle of that hurricane.
A detention center?
A detention center. It's like a prison detention center.
Does it move with the storm? Is it like a floating city?
It could be that. The castle. The castle in the sky. You never know.
Yeah, I'm just hoping they don't get too much damage down there in Florida, but it's kind of standard for them. They know hurricanes are a possibility there, and they've built their houses, in certain places that hopefully not too many people are getting that bad of flooding. But I guess we'll really find out tomorrow, because even right now a lot of people are without power, and there's a lot of power lines down in slightly flooded water, which can be really dangerous. So really sending them the most protection we can, and hoping for a minimal loss of life. But that's the risk. You live in a beautiful place with an ocean view. That's the risk that's going to happen sometimes, whether or not it's weather warfare, which I think most of them nowadays are, because, if we have this technology, we should be using it to prevent these things on a continual basis. But, unfortunately, I think there's probably multiple people trying to steer these things. One party gets it going. The White Hats try to maybe dissipate it or redirect it, and then the other party uses different technology to redirect it their own way. And so it's a little bit of a kind of like a tug of war. Is that the game where two sides are pulling the rope?
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like that, I think, when they're trying to control these hurricanes. So definitely weather warfare going on. And, weather warfare is something I've been trying to tell people about on the 17 web ever since the beginning. It's this whole light blue section here, which it's not the biggest section on the web, but this has been being developed for a long time, ever since Operation Popeye in the 1960s in Vietnam, and a lot of other really early examples of it, and even more modern examples of controlling monsoon season, of military people disclosing what they call stratospheric atmospheric injections. And it's undeniable that these technologies have been at least attempted to be developed, and they just don't say that they actually fully, finalize them. But there's a lot of different techniques that they have.
That's very true. What are you thinking?
I'm I keep looking at all the arrests that have been happening. Why is there still so many evil people in positions to be creating these things? I mean, why not just wipe them out? I mean, quickly. We have the ability and the technology for it.
Well, why does the hurricane look like the yin and yang sign?
Well, that's
And
interesting.
Florida looks like it's part of the other part of the yin and yang, if you think about it.
Well, there's a lot of times the light always wants to get rid of the dark, but then always like new dark pops up, it seems. You get rid of the mafia boss and then the second highest person becomes just as bad. And so I think it is that kind of case I think that's why the checkerboard is a symbol of Freemasonry, is that, no matter how hard they try to be a good organization, that the dark always seems to infiltrate. And I do think that it's been throughout time, I mean, at least in the modern era, from my perspective as someone in the late 20th century, it seems like it's gotten more dark. But when you look at it in its totality, they've been responsible for all the architecture in Western civilization and, a lot of the good things as well. And so you have to find the right balance. And I think at this point, we're trying to find a better balance of light being in the position of control of these governments. But that's, where it's really been the deepest and darkest. It's really been more of the light being on the side of we the people and then the dark in the government. But we need to find a better balance there with light taking over these institutions of power and authority. And then, let the dark be the criminals of the we the people, which there will always be. We're never going to have, well, maybe. I mean, I'm very much an idealist and a utopian thinker as well. So I think there is a way with proper education that we could have a society without people that, want to be criminals and want to take advantage of others. But, that's probably a little bit further down the road in the future. And there's just so many people in this world now, this world controlled by money and greed, that will, sacrifice their own soul to get power and wealth at all levels of society. And that's why they keep coming up. And there's also, deeper levels of control. Like a lot of the power in today's world may actually emanate from Antarctica and these, UN globalist / Nazi evolved from New Schwabenland breakaway civilization command center that is outside of the reach of all democratically elected governments. That's just like literally the New World Order already having its foothold down there. And there's even been weather warfare events where if you look at a global map of either the energy or the frequency, but you literally see like a beam come straight out of Antarctica that extends, up across the whole rest of the world. And so they may have some technology down there. And there may also be submarines under these hurricanes that are heating up the water, stirring it somehow, or satellites. And so some of this technology used to create these more negative events, are not beyond the white hat's reach, but definitely a challenge to find, every submarine, every satellite. And that's what we're in the process of doing, I believe. But it's a long process.
It is a long process. But at least we're almost done, because one of the major events that we've been waiting for is she's dead. That was going to be huge, but especially with us asking questions. Is she going to die in a hurricane? Is she going to die in a helicopter? This, that, the other thing. And it's like, no, she just fell off.
And isn't all of this event driven, not date driven?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I do too.
I do too.
Some say things are astrologically driven. I mean, I know I heard from someone that's into astrology in 2019 that there would be like this huge world shift in early 2020. And I was like, nah, like it's going to be like, oh, the white hats are going to win. But then it went in the other direction. And so some of this stuff is, beyond even this planet and has to do with these galactic alignments and such. And that's why I think a lot of people aren't saying that the full-on Jasara, the positive timeline isn't going to be, really fully manifested till probably after 2024, just based on these astrological cosmic alignments. And so we can't necessarily be expecting it in 2023 that it's going to be a little bit rocky for a while. But that doesn't stop you from investing in XRP now and holding.
And somebody did just post that XRP equals 58 when silver equals 85.
$58?
I don't know what they meant, but it's just silver equals 85 when XRP equals 58. But I'm focusing upon the numbers that those are. 85, flip it, you get 58.
Oh.
58, flip it, you get 85. Get it?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting, right? That was.
I mean, I'm basing my predictions for crypto and XRP. This may not sound like the most reliable, but on The Simpsons, they said, XRP is going to 589 by the end of the year on The Simpsons, which The Simpsons have been accurate for so many other predictions, including, I think, the death of the Queen most recently. And at the same time, we are expecting silver and gold to both go really to the moon. Let me see here. I have a note that's not the official numbers, but expecting silver between 2,000 and 4,000, and gold between 20,000 and 42,000. So that's just speculation, of course. But we know markets change, and that's what people do is they speculate on what is going to be in the future. And XRP and XLM are technologies that really are the best technologies out there in terms of commerce and digital commerce specifically. 107 says, "Oh, we're going back to gold," but as an e-commerce store myself, I'm like, I can't use gold. I mean, unless someone has turned gold into a credit card, which basically is what people that are part of this Jasara Nasara XRP thesis are saying, is that that's exactly what what XRP and XLM will be, is the tokenized version of gold and silver. And there already are actually companies that you can have a credit card where you're spending your physical gold somehow, which I'm not sure if that fully makes sense, but it is logical that we would have asset-backed currency and a tokenization or digitization of that currency. And it's not fiat anymore. The people's big issue with Bitcoin and Ethereum is that, it's not backed by anything. And, so that's the idea with these ISO 20022 coins, is that they will be backed by precious metals and other things as well. If you're following Whiplash and QSI on Telegram, you're probably seeing on the Lobster wallet a lot of different assets that are supposedly tokenizations of different metals, different precious minerals and things. Oil companies, they've moved, actually, what they're saying on QSI and Whiplash is that the white hats are moving the entire stock market onto the Stellar blockchain and onto the Lobster wallet exchange. Mm-hmm. So I'm not 100% sold on that. At this point, I'm really only investing in the main tokens such as XRP and XLM themselves. But I think that's really something to be aware of, that this could be the new stock market developing on the Lobster platform. And that if you get in now, and invest a little bit, it could go up parabolically, is what they say, when the price is just whoo, going from a lot of zeros and a one to 1 cent or even $1, then you become a millionaire from a very small investment. So just possibilities to be aware of.
Wow.
It's true.
Incredible. Well, hey family, do you have any questions for him before we wrap up tonight?
There is a question that did come in. So, Kid, can you see if Dylan will show and explain his Ashtar timeline?
Oh, are you guys ready for the Ashtar timeline?
You'd be surprised with the family, with how much that they have been studying and what they're ready for.
All right. Yeah, I have it already pulled up. So This is the Ashtar timeline. This is actually the 17-inch version, which we sell it as a 8.5 by 11, 11 by 17 mini poster, and a big poster. And the idea of the Ashtar timeline it was part of my exploration and understanding of the Pleiadians and Ashtar command, because I was just always drawn to it. I was drawn to images of Lord Ashtar at first, and I was drawn to Pleiadian writings, more about Pleiadians in general, like Barbara Marcinaic, Bringers of the Dawn. And so what this artwork was creating a bibliography of everyone who had channeled the Pleiadians or Ashtar Command specifically. Now, some of the Pleiadians channelers don't talk about Ashtar Command, but I included them on here anyway. And so the way this is laid out is essentially down the center, you have a lot of the authors, and on the two sides of this swoop, or I'm not sure what to call it, but this big blue thing is basically how I imagine like the trail of a light ship in space or in the sky just leaves this whoosh, of energy behind it. And so that creates the timeline. And so on the left and right of the thing, you have the different books that are the main ones. Of course, there's more than what's on here. I mean, this is not infinite. This is quite a few of them, but it's just the number of people that have channeled Ashtar the Pleiadians is quite a few. And if you start going through them and actually reading them, you'll find that a lot of them have a very similar tone to them. And the one that kind of pulls it all together is called the Ashtar Tribute Book, which was written by Pytela. Flash it here so you guys see what I'm talking about. And the Ashtar Tribute Book actually took passages from all the previous authors from different publications and combined them in one book. And so, some of the authors were speaking in a certain tone of voice that was different from other ones. And so it didn't all sound exactly the same, but the messaging was very, very consistent between all these different sources. And so it's just the more stories I read about people who had channeled Ashtar and the Pleiadians, the more synchronicities I come upon. And I just recently learned that Pytela was actually a Christian pastor before she discovered Ashtar. And so it's funny that fundamentalist Christians may be the ones who are most offended by this and say aliens are demons, when some of these people who had been channeling Ashtar, they were Christian pastors to begin with, and then Ashtar came into contact with them. And so that's why they started, doing automatic writing, which is how a lot of this information comes through. And so it's a lot to be aware of. I've really only read probably a few of these books. But the more I read, the more useful information I find. The most recent one I read was called The Dynamics of Cosmic Telepathy, which describes in detail how to, get in contact with extraterrestrials for guidance. And actually, surprisingly or unsurprisingly, like with a lot of the stuff I've read about Ashtar, it really only confirms a lot of the things that I'm already doing myself intuitively. But it's nice to have that confirmation. I got into channeling myself through automatic writing as well, like a lot of the other people on that list. And so it really seems like there's something of substance to all of that. And even if you don't believe, I still go back and forth between believing whether or not Ashtar is a real being out there. But whether he's real or not, it really seems that all the different channelings of him and the Pleiadians in general ring with a lot of truth to them. And the information is consistent. It's detailed. It seems accurate. And it's not just like new age mumbo jumbo jargon, like a lot of the stuff you see on channeling channels on YouTube nowadays. The Pleiadians and Ashtar Command, they're kind of like this type of material. This is the type of stuff information that will get you banned in the mainstream, and that's why the mainstream does a lot to try to repress that information, because they go right for the jugular of the cabal, and they don't hold back. So they're on the good guys team for sure, and I think working with Space Force and Donald Trump and the Alliance.
I'm going to have to tap in and study a little bit about the Ashtar, because it kind of sounds like that the Ashtar is not a singular being, but more of a group of beings.
Oh, like Q?
Like my star team.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
And Q. But yeah, that's what I'm kind of sensing, because when I'm tapping into the energy of Ashtar, I'm seeing more than just one energy.
Oh, yeah. Well, this Ashtar Command, I mean, it's a whole, I'm not sure exactly the numbers they say, but there has been specific numbers thrown out, and as in like 400,000 or millions of, members of this. It's like a military organization in space for the White Hats on a higher level.
So same thing as the Galactic Federation of Truth and Justice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So.
And there's a lot of different names for these things. Part of what I did with the Ashtar timeline was try to hammer out the different names of these organizations, between the Galactic Federation of Light, Galactic Confederation, Interdimensional Federation of Free Worlds. And, there was some inconsistency with those different names and titles between the different channeled sources. But, there a lot of them referring to the same thing. And, sometimes two different names can mean the same thing. But then there are other levels, different dimensions or hierarchies that are actually different. And so that took some sorting out. But I have what's on the timeline is called the hierarchy, the cosmic hierarchy of the Federation. And that was my best attempt to iron it out. But, there's no final say on these things. And probably even in different sectors of the universe, these things have different names as well. And so it's plausible that these things actually do have multiple names to call, what this thing is, whatever we want to call the Galactic Federation.
Very true.
I'm excited about learning about it once it finally gets revealed.
I'm excited too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait for ET disclosure. I mean, that's kind of what started all of this, was my interest in aliens and UFOs and ufology. And I've had a few dreams where I see like a mothership for the first time, and it's just so powerful it brings me to tears. And I know a lot of people aren't ready, that they have tears of panic as opposed to tears of joy. But I think we're headed there eventually for humanity. There will be first contact publicly disclosed at some point in our future, hopefully in our lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
So there was another question that came in from Mickey Michelle, and she's asking if she was to buy a poster map, does she get a digital as well, or is that a separate type of buy?
Well, some of our maps are free downloads, including the 17 web, the Healing Web, and the Jasara map. Those are all free downloads. If you buy a poster, you do not get a download of the artwork itself, unless it's one of those free downloads. And there's other ones on the free downloads page as well. Posters do not come with the download, but we also offer downloads of the ones that are not free. We offer those as downloads or prints or posters as well. So definitely look at all the different product categories and choose what you need, but also make sure you look at the free downloads page, which is linked both on my link tree at the bottom, as well as on the homepage. You see free downloads or the flashing downloads GIF on the homepage.
That's
and
cool.
As you guys can see at the very top of the screen has his website, so just write that down and search it. Yeah, it's just right up there. Easy to find, right up there.
Yeah, we'll put a link in the description too.
Yes, most definitely.
Yes, I did pin it.
All right. And I don't think I saw any other questions.
Oh, this has been wonderful.
This has.
I'm sorry, I've lost focus every now and then. I am just exhausted.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah. But you did really well in spite of my exhaustion.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's funny we got that question about Ashtar at the end, because there's just so many different directions we could go in, and different maps we could explain. Like, I have another one called the DARPA map, which I don't even talk about too often, but it's just so many different niches we can delve into. But, I like to talk about the Jasara one, like these days, because I really want to get the Patriots and the truthers, on the right program and give them a way for the white hats to deliver these funds to them, because it's not going to be through treasury checks. And it's going to be a lot easier for the white hats to get the funding to the people who are going to change the world and build the new earth through this new technology that they're controlling, XLM and XRP. And so that's the message for the advanced crowd. And then the message for like the newbie crowd is, we blow up the font and simplify things for you. So trying to cater to different audiences, much the way Trump does in his speeches,
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true indeed. But
We would love to have you back. We'll have a conversation with you later about setting that up.
and we would love to go over the Nisara Gasara map. most definitely. So
Yeah, go into that in more detail. And there's always new Nasara Jasara news coming out as well, which I try to repost it on my Telegram, and I follow QSI and Whiplash pretty closely as well. Right now, the big news is the pound crashing and Bank of England in dire straits, which is all part of the plan.
it is all part of the plan.
Yeah, from east to west, right? So,
Everything's always from east to west.
yeah. So that'll come here when it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got to get rid of these Federal Reserve notes and go to a asset-backed currency. Essential.
You know, one of the deep state's biggest downfalls is that they keep going with the same stuff over and over again. Because while I was working a 9-to-5 job, every time that something new would come out, it would always come out from east to west. Never west to east, always east to west. And then I started learning about all this stuff that's happening in this world, and it's still the same, east to west. And then the RV, and then the Nasara Gasara, and that's still like, oh, east to west. Like,
You mean like European influence comes to the Western world?
for the 9-to-5 job, it was always the East Coast to the West Coast. They always released it first on the East Coast to test it out. That's like their testing ground. And then it would move over to the West Coast. But for everything else, I would say that it's easier to take care of everything that is not as corrupt as what's over here. Because this is where everybody lives. I'm not saying that it's not bad over there. It's bad, but it's easier to take control over there and then move this way.
Mm-hmm. Are you guys East Coasters? Where are you based?
West Coast. Washington.
Okay, West Coast.
Vancouver, Washington.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Holding down some positive energy in the dark lands of Washington and Oregon. That's good. That's important. Actually, we ship the most orders of anywhere to California, and so it really shocks me that that's a Democrat state, because the people in California have more DSMP merch and flyers and posters than anyone else. And, you know, they're rich too. California, obviously a very expensive state. And so there's a powerful, positive population and energy growing in the West, in the Western states. And so I'm excited to see where that goes in the future, because it has to flip eventually. I mean, Newsom does not represent, the will of the people out there by any means.
So I was talking to a girlfriend, and I was talking about that exact thing that you just mentioned, and she said California has always been a red state. They switched it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we just relocated here in January, and before then we lived in California.
Yeah, it's just that LA, San Bernardino County, where all the Satanists seem to gravitate and actually migrated there from other places. And that's where the Church of Satan was founded as well, which I was just reading about in the bloodlines of the Elu last night. So yeah, it's funny how you pick up an old book from, the mid 90s, and it has all these shocking facts that's like mind blowing even today, and still so relevant as to why certain areas are corrupt and are the way they are. But I have high hopes for California. There's also several Pleiadian hotspots there as well. And so where the dark is the darkest is also where the lightest forces gravitate as well. It's kind of like this magnetism phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
There will be shifts happening there for sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, look at Hollywood. That's a huge shift.
So,
There ain't nobody home anymore.
which
No, I mean, it shocks me that there's even still new movies coming out. And, the most recent controversy in Hollywood is this Netflix drama about Jeffrey Dahmer, which they've categorized under a gay interest. And it's just, I mean, I watched the trailer for that last night, and it's just, how can a whole team of people make a movie about such a sick, disgusting subject. Not even a movie, a series, and even sleep at night. It's just like, ugh. Like the energy of that whole production must have just felt like tar, you know? And for the controversy to be them just categorizing it as like gay interest on Netflix, I feel like the controversy should be that people are even watching a series about, you know, such a disgusting subject. Even I was a horror buff in the past, but I can't watch that stuff anymore.
Right. Well, especially with what we know now, with what they've done, real killings and all that type of stuff in those movies, just to make it look real. Mm-hmm. It was bad.
Yeah, I mean, I've changed a lot personally since, you know, 2017 and the Great Awakening and doing all of this, you know, learned so much more on a technical level, but even on a personal level, it's like, I don't drink alcohol anymore. I don't like to watch any TV or movies anymore. It's like, I'm really evolving, and, you know, that's the way the Great Awakening is. You know, got to give up some of the old stuff and make room for better things that are on the way.
I'm finding the same. I actually was feeling a little beside myself, and so I thought, what do I want to do? And I sat down on the couch, I grabbed the TV controller, and I pressed the button that brings up all the different channels, and I'm like, fuck this. And I just walked away. I had no interest in any of it. Even some of my favorites, it's like, I just don't want to sit there and watch it.
If only it could be like Tinder, where you can just swipe, 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 swipe. Ooh, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I have a big...
Just quickly going.
I have a lot of DVDs that I own, and, you know, I do like a lot of these movies, and I also really like movies that have disclosure in them. Mm-hmm. But just in the state of the world right now, you know, I feel like we're in warfare, and I'm almost like a commander of a certain information warfare part of the White House agenda, and so I always have maps to update, you know, products to restock, and other things to do, and you know, when I need downtime, which I actually have a hard time figuring out what to do when I'm like, I can't do any more computer work because all my stuff is on the computer. And so like my eyes get burned out at a certain point, and I'm like, I have to do something not looking at a screen. Like, what is it going to be? And so, you know, I try to, you know, meditate or, you know, use a little bit of cannabis or whatever and just kind of try to mellow out. But, you know, I don't usually go back to like watching old movies or, you know, Hollywood, because it doesn't have the same allure as it used to.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
You know what seems to be happening is that when we have to do work here, that's like us being pulled back to the 3D aspect of the world. And when we're done with that work, we can just move back into our 5D, and it gets harder and more painful to our physical form to be pulled back to the 3D. Have you noticed that?
Well, I mean, I know that I could never go back to a corporate job at this point, even if I wanted to deal with the hierarchy and the holier than thou attitudes and the competitiveness and the enjoyment and subjugating other human beings. You know, we've evolved this year at DSMP from a one-man operation into having now a part-time helper, which is a friend of mine. And, you know, we get along great. Actually makes it more fun packing orders for both of us when we're working together. And, you know, there's none of that corporate, like, there's just this bad vibe in corporate environment that I found. You know, I had worked at Coach and Marc Jacobs and some other places in Derek Lam professionally. And just when you're in like those corporate settings, you just feel that weird like Draco reptilian hierarchy, and you feel like the higher ups like getting off on being mean to the people under them, and that's not what the new world is going to be about. All that has got to go.
It does.
Yeah, and that something else that I've visually seen also is that what else has to go is the focus on the physical form being the most important, as in, do I wear makeup? Is that my identity? You know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with dressing nice and looking beautiful, but where your focus is.
Or being those people that are in the rating business now, that are rating people that are coming in now. Oh, she's a 7, he's a 3 type stuff. That needs to go. I swear. Because that's causing separation right there. And that's not something that I really enjoy listening to.
Not at all.
No, gotta move beyond vanity and greed and judgment. These are things that I'm trying to give up myself even. And yeah, definitely. And look what's inside. I mean, it's your level of awakening, or your level of spirituality that's going to be the currency of the future. And I think also like ideas are going to be the currency of the future. That, you know, the person with the most, it will always be somewhat of a popularity contest, but the people with the best ideas are going to be the ones who are the most influential, as opposed to the ones who are from, you know, the most noble lineage with the biggest bank account, which is how it is right now.
Right? You mean the most dumbest with the biggest bank accounts?
Well,
that's
usually
what it seems
they
like
are.
right now.
Yeah, usually they are. There's inbreeding in those families as well, which is how they kept all that
Here's
wealth.
money. Make them have a diploma. Give them a diploma already. Here's my money. How do I do this? Didn't you learn that in school?
Yeah, no, the people in power right now, from corporate to political, you know, they're not mentally even capable of, you know, performing at a reasonably decent level. And that's why the world is so messed up in a way. It's that, yeah, they just got there because of, you know, lineage and, you know, who their father was, what school they went to, which, you know, that's another thing I've really awoken to in this Great Awakening is, the hierarchy of the Ivy Leagues and how Harvard and Yale specifically are so connected with politics and, you know, the highest levels of corporate. I even realized that the mayor here in Cincinnati is like Harvard graduate. And it's probably the mayor in every big city in the U.S. is some kind of like Harvard or, you know, Ivy League graduate. He's not the most popular person from Cincinnati. It's, you know, someone that these institutions that are, you know, run by even higher levels of secret organizations have sent these people, you know, back to their hometowns to, you know, do their bidding. And so, yeah, I think there was a time when, you know, Harvard and these different Ivy Leagues were more like places where you found like the best learning, the best education. But it's gotten so corrupt at this stage that it's almost now like an indication of the most corruption as opposed to the most education.
Yeah.
That was dealt with a little bit on, you know, the Octagon group map. It's like how that power all just filters down through the education system. We got some of those like Ivy League stuff over here, but, you know, it's all connected with the secret societies. I won't go through all the different names of them because that's what will really get us in trouble. But the secret societies behind these educational institutions, and even the clubs within them. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of Skull and Bones at Yale, but there's a lot of other ones, both in the USA and Ivy Leagues, and in UK and in Germany. That, you know, the bigger secret societies kind of have their entry levels at a lot of those universities. And that's how you start getting filtered in. If you were even not part of the even younger organizations, such as Rainbow Girls and the Demolay Society, but, you know, the hierarchy of these secret societies definitely runs in the family, which I guess I'm fortunate that my family wasn't involved with it, even though I probably would have been a better position financially or in power if they were. But, you know, I'm glad that I grew up in a world where I was, I guess, like naive enough to just think that it was like the American dream. You know, you work hard and you make it. It's not necessarily like all these bloodlines and nobility and secret societies that determine whether or not you can have an impact in the world.
It's very true. You know, before we go, I remember when we were live with Jason and he brought up your very first map that you've ever made. And it was phenomenal. And I remember the feelings that we've had with those maps.
That one?
I believe so. But the feeling that I got from that map when he showed it was, this is going to bring a lot to the world. This is going to bring a lot to the world. And I was super excited about it. Because I know Jason was stoked about it. He was like, hey, take a look at this. It's so amazing.
Yeah, it was.
And I just, I just want to thank you for everything that you've done. Because your maps have awakened so many other people. Without you, thousands upon thousands of other people would not be where they're at today. So thank you for that.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of responsibility, and but that was the intention, is to wake up the world and push this great awakening just as faster as we can make it, as fast as we can get it going, and give people the tools. And it's so funny with Jason Q now that he has such a public persona, because him and I were friends on Facebook back in the early days of the 17 movement, and it was always like, how much research is this guy really doing? It's like, he would post stuff on Facebook that was just like, wow, like this guy's really into it. And I'm so glad he did finally find an audience, a bigger audience, like through Charlie Ward, and now through this Truth Tour and his own channel, that his information's getting out as well. I consider him, I like to think of this whole 17 movement and the Great Awakening as kind of like the Matrix, and so that's why I call myself the map maker, and he's like the archiver. Kind of like the key maker, or like Neo. I'm not sure who Morpheus or Mel Carmine is Morpheus now. But yeah, we all have roles to play in this, and maybe it is all a game, a simulation, but we're gonna win in the end. We're gonna do this.
We are.
Well, yeah. And Trump is Neo, of course.
Of course.
Even though he has no similarity physically, but yeah.
I would say Melania is Morpheus.
Maybe so, yeah. Well, she would be Trinity if she's Neo.
Or she could be the, what do you call that? The Oracle.
The Oracle.
The Oracle. Yeah.
Actually, I've said before, I believe Melania is kind of like the Oracle of the Trump administration, and that she may actually be the channel that puts Trump in contact with higher beings, because she just has that vibe. I mean, nothing she's said publicly necessarily makes me think that, but she has kind of like a Vril Society type vibe, with the long hair, and she's from the same region as Nikola Tesla and Maria Orsic, and so I believe that she may be Trump's connection to the boys up above.
I agree. Totally agree.
If she's not Princess Diana in a rubber mask, that's the latest theory, which I don't know if I buy that one.
The actual new theory that I'm seeing is she's actually part of the Air Force. Yeah. I have a few videos that I've been downloading. I'm going to be creating a few videos, and it's going to show the Princess Diana Trump with Princess Diana in her Air Force uniform. And then there is, of course, we know of Bob Joyce being Elvis.
Oh.
Right? So I'm also going to be putting that in there. And then there's a few others that I saw and downloaded. I forget what it was. I think it was either Air Force or some part of military. So, but it looks just like Princess Diana. I swear to God.
Well, it will be fun to see who comes back at the end of all this.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Definitely.
So as you know, the website is up there, and just give me a little bit of time, and I will put his website in the descriptions. You'll be able to go into the description below and be able to just click the link, and that link that is posted up there has all the other links to it. So you don't have to go and search anywhere else for his Telegram, his website, his YouTube, or wherever that you are. Where are you posting your videos?
Rumble primarily. We post duplicates on BitChute and Odyssey, but mainly Rumble.
But that has all his links to wherever. So wherever he's at. So I'm going to go take a look at it myself because I haven't looked at it yet. So this is going to be awesome. And I think I'm going to buy a few maps from you. So.
Hey, I'll send you guys, our main product is an Intel packet, which is a folder with all of our most important diagrams. I'll send you guys one if you want to send me your address or PO box somehow, but I definitely want to get this information to the influencers top priority. So we got you covered, CompuOne.
Would you stay on with us after we end the show and we'll exchange information?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
All right.
That would be great. And family, we thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was such a pleasure and an honor to have Dylan Monroe, the map maker, the map project, right?
The map god.
With us tonight. So just absolutely fabulous.
And also in the description below, we also have our Etsy store, which sells our High Vibes Up gear. If you guys are interested in going there, you guys can use the code JasonQ, all capital letters, for a 25% off if you guys want to use that for 2 items or more. And we also have the links to our ASEA, so in case you guys want to have any questions about the ASEA, just go ahead and do the contact me or call the number, and somebody will get together with you to answer any questions that you have with that as well. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Is that it?
Well, let me do one more screen share just to remind everyone. This was the Las Vegas stop of the Truth Tour, and there's you guys with 107 and the Q key in the background. And so since then, I met 107 in Dallas, and now we've met, and so it's come full circle.
That's amazing.
Right? And wherever
I love synchronicities like that.
We're all at, your map is there with us. So
Yeah,
I'm glad they have one on the Truth Tour. That needs to be there for sure.
I can't remember who it was, but someone reached out to me and said, hey, Dylan was just on Janine. You should have him on your show. I said, who's Dylan? Oh, that's who Dylan is. Yeah, so I got a hold of Janine and I said, hey, patch us together. So
nice, yeah. No, I love meeting new channels. I love that there are new channels that have popped up since the beginning. And it's awesome to see the movement growing, and the more voices that are out there, the better, because you'll reach a certain audience that haven't had any contact with anyone else before, and then they'll just keep finding out more and more information. The snowball just keeps rolling, and there's nothing the deep state cabal can do to stop it. So
that's right.
That's true.
Love that.
That is
like an avalanche.
Avalanche.
All right, so inspiration time. We love you, everyone, family. You guys are amazing. You guys are spreading the love, spreading the family, spreading the connection, spreading the knowledge, spreading the truth. And you guys are not just doing that here and bringing, the love and acceptance to everyone that's new, but you're also taking it to all these other amazing channels, all these other truthers channels, and you are bringing that there as well, and you guys are creating a bigger family. So keep on moving forward, keep on doing what you're doing, because remember, it is the littlest ripples that matter the most, because if you make a big wave, well, that wave is just going to be, ignored. It's all about the smallest ripples. It's all about coming from behind. And when we do that from coming from behind, guess what? Nobody can really expect it, because when you're expecting the unexpected becomes expected. So you just come in unexpectedly.
By the way, you're getting an invite to our friends' lives, Spiritually Raw. And so I will give you their information, and give them your information if you'd like to be on their live as well. That'd
be awesome. Yes, a lot of these new channels that I've come aware of just in the past 6 months or so. But yeah, it's awesome that we're all connecting. So I would love to go on them. Oh, perfect. Okay, so Michael, I'll get the information to him and his information to you. Okay.
All right, sounds good. And yes, Ronnie, you're right. Farts do make ripples. All right, we love you guys, and we'll see you guys soon.
Probably not going to want to hear this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Always go with the choice that scares you the most, because it's the choice that's going to help you grow.
Wow.
I can't do negative today. Positive vibes, positive vibes.
Hey, best friend. Wait. To the person seeing this, I know you're tired. I know you're fed up and so close to breaking. But remember, you have strength within you even when you feel weak. Keep fighting, best friend.